What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis and I produce daily content for heating and air conditioning technicians and homeowners, teaching you everything you need to know about heating and air conditioning. And on today's call, what I'm going to be showing you how to do is how to replace a reciprocating compressor on a Carrier air conditioner. And this one's got a little bit of a twist, because once we put the compressor in, we found out that the indoor TXV was stuck closed, which caused this compressor to go out. So if you want to see how to change one out, stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. Okay guys, this is the compressor that we're taking out. It's an old Bristol reciprocating compressor, and we're putting in a new Copeland reciprocating compressor. I went ahead and took the fan off the top. I've already evacuated the freon out of the system. So first, what we need to do is we have 4 screws on each side of the compressor. We need to remove those. We need to cut our line here. We need to cut our line here. Now with the new Copeland compressor, the freon connections are actually will be in a different place. Our suction will be on this side. Our high side will go into the middle of the compressor. So we need to make some changes with our lines, but everything should be pretty simple. So the first thing I'm going to do before I take my screws out and I take my wiring off, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my freon lines. Alright, we got the suction off. Now with our high side line, we're going to have to shorten that up. So what I'm going to do to make it easier, since it's so tight down here, I'm just going to cut this with my snips. And the reason I did that, guys, is since it's so tight up against that compressor, and with this being a different type of compressor we're going to be putting in, we're going to have to shorten that up. So I'm going to have to cut it again. So the easiest thing to do is I just took my snip that off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wires off and then start taking out our bolts here that hold the compressor in. Okay, this compressor comes with a new wiring harness. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to snip my compressor wires. Alright, that's bolt number 1 out. Bolt number 2, bolt number 3, and bolt number 4. Now all we got to do, guys, is just basically lift the compressor straight up and set it over to the side. Alright, as you can see, this is our new compressor, and you can see it on this one, the suction was over here, kind of where this new CAD cell is. The connection for our suction is on this side. Our connection for our high side is in the middle, so we've got to repipe that. And this new compressor comes with, I've showed you, new connections for your compressor, and as you can see, this one here, it's got little pin connectors. They're a lot better for a compressor. So we've got a new connection for that, and it also comes with new grommets on this compressor. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put the grommets in, or vibration absorbers. So this sits on it so the compressor doesn't make as much noise, so you want to replace those when you replace your compressor. So all you need to do is pop them in the bottom. Alright, this new compressor comes with new fittings if you need to repipe it. This 90 came in. Basically, we can set it either way inside this compressor. And then I've got a new piece of copper that I took that basically we're going to put it in here, and we're going to run this new piece of copper to our old line for our unit and weld that in, and basically everything should be good. We're going to shorten up our, if you remember, our compressor, our high side line went up, made a U, came back down on this side. We're going to shorten it up, and we're going to install that right here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get all of this lined up with my line of my unit. I'm going to get these welded in. So basically when I set it in, all I have to do is make the connection from this end of my copper to my unit, and then all I've got to do is make my high side connection here, weld it in. The less welds you can do inside the unit, the easier it's going to be and less likely you will have a leak. So let me get this lined up and I'll bring you back as I'm welding a little bit. Okay, we got everything brazed in, and now all we're ready to do is set it into the unit, connect this up. Now this line right here is a little bit smaller than the line on the air conditioning itself, but the connection to the compressor, this 90 was smaller, so it's still good for that compressor. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it in, we're going to connect this up to the line in the unit, and then we're going to weld that in, and then we're going to take our high side and do the same thing. Now before we set that compressor back in, I told you we had to change the direction of this line, and we originally cut it with a pair of snips because it was so close to compressor you couldn't get your cutters in. We want to go ahead and cut the end of this line, so when we set our compressor in, it'll go right back into the new connection. We don't have to make any other changes. Alright, see, that's where we cut it with our snips, and now we can set that right back into our new compressor. Alright, now this is going to line up, slide right into this old copper tubing, and our high side where we cut it will be able to slip right down into our compressor fitting. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start welding the bottom here, and then I'll place this inside the pipe and get this welded up, and we'll make sure the compressor is in place there. So let me start welding our high side. Alright, we've got everything welded back in, the high side, the low side, and now all we got to do is we got to line our compressor up and put our 4 screws back. Screw number 1, screw number 2, screw number 3, and screw number 4. Alright, the next thing we want to do is your 3 wires for your compressor. Got a little hole here that the wires go through. You want to pull those back out. And we've got our new wiring harness here for the compressor. We want to take those wires and run those through that wiring hole. And they just come out on this side here. And we want to line this up. You've got a little fitting right here. It just goes into the bottom of your cat cell, and basically all you got to do is get it lined up. Take a little pop it on, make sure everything's tight, and we should be good to go. Now all we have left to do is just wire our compressor up. Okay guys, I showed you that I cut the wires for the old compressor here. Now I don't know if you can see it, but on this cover for this compressor we have our leads marked. We've got a C here, that's for our common lead. We've got an S here, that's for our start. Red is for run. And on this unit, black is common, blue is start, yellow is run. So all we need to do is come over here to our unit, and we see this is our yellow wire that we cut off. This is our black wire, and this is our blue wire we cut off. Now how do you differentiate on your other, because you've got 2 grays and a black. Now if you look on here, if you can see what I'm showing you, that right there says L1C. This says L3R, and on this lead we have L2S. So L2S, our dark gray, is our start. L3R, which is our light gray, is our run. And our L1C is our common. So all we need to do, and this is why it makes it so easy, remove this black wire, hook our black to common of our contactor, remove our yellow, and we hook our L3R run to our yellow under this screw. And then we take our dark gray, which is L2S, and hook it to our start side of our dual contactor. So when you cut the wires like that, it makes it very easy. You just have to, and they even have the designations listed on these wires of this new compressor. It makes it very easy to match up. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook these wires up, and we'll almost be ready to start this compressor up. Alright guys, I saved you a little bit of time. I didn't want this video to be this long, but I went ahead and pulled a vacuum on this system. You always want to pull a vacuum down to about 500 microns to make sure you get any contaminants out of the system as well. I turned the unit on, I weighed in our charge, and our compressor is definitely on, it's working, so we know our compressor is good. Now, when I found this compressor bad, I told this customer that our recommendation is to replace the AC system, because having a bad compressor, you always want to let the customer aware that there could be something upstream from the compressor or something like that that caused this compressor to go out. And there's no way you know that until you replace the compressor yourself. This customer ended up deciding that they wanted to replace the compressor and take the chance of it being just the compressor. Well, she rolled the dice and she lost. So let me show you what these pressures are reading. And my gauges are already starting to frost up here. She's got a TXV on this evaporator coil. We're reading about 8 degrees suction and close to 250 on our head pressure. What this basically means, and reason why this compressor probably went out, is the TXV has closed down and is not sending is starving the evaporator of freon. It's not sending pressure back to our compressor. And if you pump all the oil out of this compressor, it's just like a car motor without any oil in it. The pistons in these reciprocating compressors will go out, and it'll cause the compressor to go bad. So what's caused this whole compressor to go out? Our TXV is shut down. It starved the compressor of freon. This thing has been trying to run without freon in it, and our compressor went out. So now we've got to go inside, tell the customer that not only was the compressor bad, what caused that was our TXV. And like I say, I did tell the customer that there is a possibility that something like this could happen. So when you take a chance, and this unit here is a 2001. Very not wise thing to do is to replace a compressor on something that's 18 years old. It just does not make sense at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell this customer what's going on, and I'll see you back in the truck. Okay guys, we're back in the truck. Now, as far as the replacing the compressor, but once we started the unit up, this is I think it's a good example for everybody, especially if you're a homeowner watching this, why you do not put a compressor or do huge repairs on a system that's 18 years old. I tried my best to get this customer to invest in a new system, and told her that, you know, with this compressor being bad, that there could be something upstream from this compressor, like her metering device, that caused this compressor to go out. And I stressed to her that, and gave her every opportunity. So I mean, not all technicians or whatever are trying to take advantage of a customer by recommending a new unit. When we recommend a new unit, there's a reason behind it, and this is a perfect example why we recommend a new AC system with a bad compressor. This customer did not want to put in a new air conditioner just because the compressor was cheaper. Now she's going to end up having to put in a new TXV for this system. She's going to spend a lot of money. So always, if you have a bad compressor, make your customers aware that there could be something that causes this compressor to go out. Because if you go out and you find a bad compressor, you can't get the system up and going to see if you've got either a stopped up piston or a TXV that's shut down. The only way you know is you put in a new compressor, you start it up and you see it. And this is a perfect example for you that it does happen. And that's why it's always good to recommend a customer a new AC system, especially when it's 18 years old. I can't believe she did it, but like I say, is she rolled the dice and she lost. So now she's got to have a TXV put in. So guys, I appreciate you joining me on this. I hope you learned something on how to install a reciprocating compressor. And hopefully when we get the TXV in, I'll be able to film that, show you how to put a TXV in, and we'll get this customer up some AC after her spending quite a bit of money. Feel sorry for her, but she decided to take the chance. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. If you learned something, hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, I will see you on the next service call. Bye guys.